Hello everyone, welcome to the Eternal Card Breakdown. My name is M, and today we're going to be breaking down A New Beginning, the promo card from Empire of Glass's first month, or promo card for the month of July, releasing quite late in July, and yeah, some pretty exciting stuff here. So for the next 4 days, you're going to be able to get or the next 7 days rather, you're going to be able to get a free copy of this for every game that you play and win once per day until you have 4 full copies of it, same as all of the other previous promo cards. So free cards, always good. Is this a good card? Well, that remains to be seen. This is a 4-cost Time Justice spell that says play a random sigil from your deck depleted, then draw a card. If it's a power card, create and draw a copy of New Beginning. So potentially this can get you 3 cards worth of advantage. The card that you play out of your deck, the card that you draw yourself to replace a New Beginning, and finally the copied copy of New Beginning, which then allows you to play the whole setup again. And continuing to chain out New Beginnings will get you, of course, more and more card advantage over time because you're going to continue to play out more sigils and also draw more cards. In addition, you're going to be in a better situation to play all of the cards that you're drawing due to the fact that you are going to have a lot more power being played out of your deck. You're just going to have a lot more maximum power overall. So this card is kind of half ramp, half card draw, and I think it's the half and half nature of it that makes its power level a little bit sneaky. I would say it's potentially not all that great just because it's very, very slow and doesn't do anything on your board. Typically with a card that costs 4, you really want either a very, very large specific effect to help out a particular deck plan, like say Eternity Core, which is a 4-cost card that gives you +2 maximum power and just immediately jumps you into really, really expensive stuff that you want to play, or a card that gives you a significant amount of advantage, like say Honor of Claws, which gives you a ton of card selection and then allows you to discard, which will then trigger other synergies and give you significant advantage there. With A New Beginning, you're kind of divided between those 2 cards, I would say. You have the card that is giving you a single maximum power, similar to a Power Stone, and you're also getting an extra copy of a card and some card draw, similar to something like Ancient Lore or anything that draws you extra cards. So the combination of the 2, you do get decent value over this. This is 2 and a third card advantage due to the fact that you're playing a card, you're drawing a card, and then you have a 1 in 3 chance of actually drawing an additional copy of A New Beginning. The main thing about it that is interesting is that if you're playing a deck that's very, very heavy on power and particularly very heavy on sigils, you can get a lot of copies of A New Beginning and continue to play it as an engine, similar to something like Invoke the Waystones, anything where you basically just get to play multiple copies of the card over and over again. You can continue to ramp and get yourself into maximum power situations to play on cards that effectively use Empower or Surge abilities to just mess with your opponent. So this is the type of card that would really sort of fit alongside a Murderous Chains or something along those lines, because it allows you to ramp up to that big card and then it allows you to continually enable it if you can actually repeat the effect. Actually triggering the effect reliably of copying A New Beginning is a little trickier. You have to actually be able to see the top card of your deck, either by placing the top card through something like Excavate or by looking at the top of it through something that say there are a couple of different ways to do it, but I think the one that particularly that I can particularly remember is the 2/5 that has Ambush that can actually see the top card of your deck. So you can sort of guarantee when that actual time is, get the extra copy, and then have 3 cards worth of advantage, which overall I would say playing this card when you are actually getting the copy is usually a little bit worth it, particularly in the more expensive decks. That being said, it's very slow. It is a pretty slow way to get started on the board. If you're playing yourself up to power 5, then you then get to drop a 6-drop, but because you're missing that critical turn 4, a lot of aggro decks are going to kill you while you're getting yourself set up with the New Beginning, and that's going to be a little bit rough overall. I think that is kind of just maybe not going to be that exciting for most players who have been playing the game for a while. In Throne in particular, I think it's just kind of a slow card, which is a shame because Throne is probably the place where there's a few more like potentials to get a little bit wacky with this. Since it creates and draws the copy of A New Beginning, if you are reducing the cost of the card through something like Trail Stories or figuring out some way to actually like reduce the cost of the spell down to 1 or 2, then repeatedly casting A New Beginning becomes like a really, really good bargain. You're getting a free card, you're getting extra maximum power so you can cast more New Beginnings very, very quickly. At like 2 or 1, this card is like really, really sick because it just gives you tons and tons of card advantage while also putting you further and further up the power scale to set up for your very, very big expensive cards and have plenty of different things to play with all of that power. I think that this card basically is just super good at utility overall, but it's a little too slow to maybe be strong enough for the majority of Throne decks. In Expedition, a little bit closer. Like, again, the card is definitely providing you with a lot of different utility, and I think that the fact that it is getting you the ability to both play expensive cards and draw expensive cards simultaneously means that you have a little bit more likelihood that you're going to be wanting to play this in a big, heavy control deck that really wants to play like 9 and 10 cost cards. So yeah, like I would say fairly low power level, not an insanely powerful card, belongs in certain decks that are really, really greedy, and if you have the ability to play like good things on 2 and 3 and then get yourself into very, very big things at more expensive costs, in particular if you're playing maximum power stuff at 2 just to get yourself into turn 4, this is a nice little step up to sort of get you to turn 6 after that and start playing the 6 costs like as early as your third turn. Like you can just slam yourself down with like a Trailmaker or something like that, then play A New Beginning, and then play your 6-drop and get yourself into some pretty interesting shenanigans overall. The one other thing I would like to note about this is that it is a pretty nice little like lore card and sort of design. Like I think it does some cool things with the sort of callbacks. So this is A New Beginning, but it is also a Cambrai card reminiscent of A New Tomorrow, which is the 10 cost that plays the top 10 power cards of your deck. So like you basically have like this card which allows you to sort of play into that setup, and then once you play A New Tomorrow things get like really, really wild. And it also like it doesn't have any synergy with, but it kind of has that same mirror with The End is Near that A New Tomorrow has, where you have A New Beginning and The End is Near doing opposite things relating to power cards. It's just really good like sort of design sensibility. So like the Melvin in me is pleased. There's a lot of like neat stuff going on with this design as far as like overall like just consistency of Eternal's set works out. And it's a nice little return to Myria and the world of Myria, which appears to be where we're going with the next set. So I'm excited to see how that goes, because Myria is my favorite world of the Eternal universe, or rather like the I guess all of them are sort of Myria, but yeah, Myria, I like it a little better than Bastion and Zolta combined, and so I'm excited to have some more cards that are callbacks to like that original set 1 design. It's a cool little thing, and definitely this card does play quite nicely with like the Iron Thorn type setups where you're just trying to play a bunch of sigils and activate multiple like sigil based effects. So yeah, it's a good card if you are starting out. I would say that if you're trying to build an expensive Cambrai deck and you need something to fill this particular slot, this is a pretty good way to sort of get yourself ramping into Martial Ironthorn and like your big 6-drops and 7-drops. It's a good way to set up Mars Chains decks. It's a good way to just sort of like fill that space. But if you have a really, really high amount of cards to select from, then I don't think that it's going to be an amazing choice over other cards of the same type. I do think that it's a fun design and overall a pretty strong one. Like it's just not quite high enough on the power scale that I'd rank it super highly in Throne or Expedition. So I'd probably give this card like a solid C for power level and a solid A for design. Really, really cool stuff. Lots of good stuff happening with it. It can't really be less expensive than it is, since it would then just be like strictly better than Secret Pages. But I do think that at 4, even with the card draw, its potential to really push your deck along is maybe not quite good enough for most setups. But it does replace itself, it does ramp your power, and it does occasionally get an additional copy of itself, all of which do lead to significant card advantage. So greedy decks may want to keep an eye on this one, particularly if Cambrai is lacking the tools or utility in Expedition to currently play very greedy, because that's exactly the kind of situations that it's really, really good, is limited formats where you basically don't have a good enough selection of cards and you really, really want to get into those 6s and 7s as fast as possible. All right, that's it for the Eternal card breakdown for today. I hope you all enjoy the card. We're absolutely going to be playing with this one because it is a really, really fun card, even if I don't think it's a very, very good card. So look out for some decks with that pretty soon. In the meantime, though, I'm going to be off stream and YouTube for probably the next couple of days while I figure out the rest of my move. And then once that's done, we'll be back online and getting excited for some more card games. So see you next time, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, and have a lovely one. Cheers.